Subscribe because it's free.
The galaxy sprawled like a fragile tapestry, threads of starlight woven through the dark. For centuries, the Zalvoran coalition ruled it with an iron grip. Their ships, sleek and silver, cut through the void, enforcing order across dozens of systems. A dozen species bent the knee, their cultures reshaped under the coalition's cold, precise will. Peace held, but it was the piece of a blade pressed to a throat. Then came the humans, latecomers, brash, unpolished. The coalition sneered at them, calling them apes who'd stumbled into the stars. They'd ignored the whispers, the tales of worlds left broken in humanity's wake. That arrogance would cost them. On the edge of coalition space, a single ship hung in the black, the Merciless. It wasn't elegant. No curves or shimmering alloys here, just a hulking mass of steel and scars, its hull pitted from battles no one else remembered. Weapons jutted from every angle, railguns, missile bays, something darker the aliens couldn't name. It drifted near Clithera, a lush border world of emerald seas and golden cities. The coalition had claimed it decades ago, a jewel in their crown. Now, this ugly human ship loomed too close, a stain on their perfect order. They couldn't let it stand. A transmission crackled through the void, sharp and imperious. The Coalition's High Council, voices layered in synthetic harmony, spoke from their gilded chamber light years away. Primitive vessel, you trespass on sovereign territory. Humanity's delusions of relevance end here. Surrender or be erased. They tracked the Merciless for days, watching it sit silent, unmoving. A fleet was already en route. 20 ships, each a masterpiece of engineering, bristling with energy lances and ion shields. The Council's laughter echoed in their words. One ship against their might? Absurd. They'd crush it, parade its wreckage, and remind the galaxy why they ruled. Aboard the Merciless, the crew heard every word. The bridge was a cramped nest of screens and steel, air thick with the tang of oil and sweat. No grand halls or polished consoles, just function raw and unapologetic. The captain stood at the helm, hands clasped behind a back rigid as iron. No one saw a face, just a shadow against the glow of tactical displays. "They're chatty," the weapons officer muttered, fingers dancing over control panels studded with switches. Her voice carried a grin, sharp as a blade. "Let's shut him up." The engineer grunted from below, knee-deep in a tangle of cables, coaxing more power from the reactors. "Give me 10 minutes, and they'll regret waking us up." The crew didn't flinch. They'd heard threats before. They'd answered them with fire. The captain's eyes flicked to the sensor readouts. Blips multiplied. 20 enemy ships, closing fast. The Coalition fleet emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation, a crescent of gleaming hulls against the starfield. Frigates flanked a towering dreadnought, its cannons already charging with a sickly green glow. They moved like a machine, synchronized, flawless. The Merciless sat alone, dwarfed, its engines cold. To the aliens, it looked vulnerable, a relic outmatched by their superior numbers. They didn't know what they provoked. Humans didn't build for beauty. They built to break things. "Status," the captain barked. The weapons officer rattled off a list. Railguns loaded, plasma torpedoes primed, shields at full. The engineer's voice crackled through the comms. "Reactors at 90%. She's hungry." The bridge hummed with anticipation, a low thrum vibrating through the deck. Every bolt, every weld, every scar on this ship told a story of survival. The Coalition saw a lone target. The crew saw a fight they'd already won in their heads. They'd been forged in wars the aliens couldn't imagine, on a planet that taught them one truth: mercy was a luxury they couldn't afford. The Coalition fleet tightened its arc, weapons locking on. Their commander, a Zalvorn with scales like polished obsidian, appeared on the Merciless view screen. His mandibles clicked in disdain. "Last chance, humans. Kneel or burn." His ship, the Pride of Zal, loomed at the fleet's center, a colossus of arrogance. The captain didn't blink. The crew didn't waver. Silence stretched, thick and heavy, until the captain leaned forward, voice a low growl. "No!" The word hit like a hammer. The screen went dark. The reactors roared to life, a deep bellow shaking the Merciless from bow to stern. Outside, the Coalition ships hesitated. They'd expected fear, submission. Instead, they saw the human ship's weapons ports flare red, its hull trembling with power. The dreadnought fired first, a lance of energy searing through space. It struck the Merciless, scorching a gash across his flank. The aliens cheered, premature triumph ringing through their comms. They didn't see the human ship stabilize, didn't hear the crew's laughter echoing in the bridge. "That all they got?" the weapons officer said, cracking her knuckles. The engineer patched the damage with a snarl, rerouting conduits like it was second nature. The Merciless turned, slow and deliberate, facing the fleet head-on. Its silhouette blotted out the stars, a predator sizing up prey. The Coalition's formation tightened, confident in their numbers. 20 against 1, they couldn't lose. But humans didn't count odds. They didn't negotiate with threats. They fought, and they won. The captain's hand hovered over command console, a single button glowing under it. "Light 'em up." Came the order, calm as death. The Merciless answered with a roar, its weapons waking in a symphony of destruction. The galaxy would learn what humanity brought to the table, and it wouldn't be peace. The void erupted in fire. The Coalition fleet's opening salvo slammed into the Merciless, energy lances carving molten trails across its hull. Alarms screamed through the bridge, red lights flashing as the ship shuddered. The alien's dreadnought, the pride of Zal, led the charge, its cannon spitting death in precise bursts. 20 ships moved as one, a wall of silver and green closing in. They expected the human vessel to crack, to scatter into debris under their might. They were wrong. The Merciless held, its frame groaning but unbroken, a beast shaking off a scratch. Shield at 80%. The weapons officer snapped, hands flying over controls. Sparks rained from a cracked panel, but she didn't flinch. They hit like cowards, too scared to get close. The engineer's voice growled through the comms, thick with grit. Hulls dented, not breached. "Give me 5 and I'll juice the guns." The captain stood steady, gaze locked on the tactical display. Blips swarmed like flies, but the Merciless wasn't prey. It was a hunter. Return fire. Came the order, cold and final. The crew didn't hesitate. The ship answered with a fury that shook the stars. Railguns thundered, hurling slugs at hypersonic speed. A Coalition frigate took the first hit. Its shield flare then collapsed, the hull crumpling like foil. Shrapnel spun into the void as its reactors blew, a brief sun blooming and fading. The weapons officer hooped, recalibrating mid-volley. Her fingers a blur. 1 down, 19 to play with. Plasma torpedoes followed, blue-white orbs streaking through space. They punched through a second ship's defenses, melting its spine. The alien crew didn't even have time to scream. The Coalition faltered, their formation buckling. Their ships were fast, their weapons sharp, but they fought like machines, predictable, rigid. The Merciless was chaos forged into steel. Its point defense cannons whirred, shredding incoming missiles into harmless sparks. The engineer patched the shields, cursing as he rerouted power from the crew quarters heat. "Freeze if you gotta, but the guns stay hot," he barked. The captain nodded, unfazed. Humans didn't need comfort. They needed victory. The aliens regrouped, their dreadnought pivoting to face the threat. Its main cannon charged, a pulsing green glow that promised obliteration. The beam lanced out, aimed to gut the Merciless. It struck hard, rocking the ship, frying a railgun turret into slag. The bridge tilted, crew bracing against consoles. "That one stung," the weapons officer muttered, wiping blood from a split lip. The engineer roared from below, diverting AUX power. "Hold tight." The Merciless stabilized, its wounds ugly but not fatal. The aliens didn't get a second shot. "Graviton lance now," the captain said, voice like stone. The weapons officer grinned, flipping a switch. A low hum built, vibrating through the deck, the air itself thickening. The weapon fired, a ripple of warped space, invisible until it hit. The pride of Zal buckled, its bow twisting inward as gravity turned predator. Metal screamed, then snapped. The dreadnought split, halves drifting apart. spewing fire and bodies into the black. The Coalition's commander died with his ship, his arrogance snuffed out in seconds. Panic gripped the fleet. Escape pods jettisoned, tiny glints against the carnage. The merciless pressed forward, relentless. Railguns pounded a trio of frigates into scrap, their shields useless against raw kinetic force. Plasma torpedoes hunted stragglers, detonating in bursts of searing light. The weapons officer laughed, a wild edge to it, as she tagged targets faster than the system could track. They're running. Look at them scamper. The engineer boosted the reactors past their limit, redlining the ship to keep the barrage alive. She'll hold, he growled, trusting the merciless like it trusted them. 10 ships remained, their crescent shattered into a ragged line. They fired desperately, beams and missiles glancing off the human ship's battered shields. The merciless absorbed it all, a juggernaut too stubborn to fall. Its crew didn't tire, they thrived. Humans weren't built for elegance. They were built for this war, raw and unyielding. The captain scanned the fleeing enemy, picking their next move. They're heading for Eclithra, he said. Think the planet will save them. The weapons officer snorted. It won't. The chase began. The merciless surged, engines roaring, trailing smoke and sparks. The Coalition ships dove toward Clithra's orbit, hoping its defenses would turn the tide. Orbital cannons glinted in the atmosphere, a promise of safety. The aliens broadcast distress calls, voices cracking with fear. The humans, they don't stop. The merciless closed the gap, its shadow stretching over the planet's curve. The crew readied the next salvo, bloodied but unbroken. They'd torn through half a fleet in minutes, and they weren't done. The captain's hand rested on the console, eyes on the world below. Full power to weapons, he ordered. The engineer patched the last breach, grunting approval. She's primed. The weapons officer locked onto the fleeing ships, then the planet itself. Say the word, and it's ash. The merciless hung there, a scarred titan against the pristine sky, its guns glowing with intent. The Coalition had underestimated humanity once. They wouldn't get a second chance. The battle wasn't over. It was just beginning. The merciless loomed over Clithra, a dark omen against the planet's shimmering green. The Coalition's remnants fled into its orbit, 10 battered ships seeking refuge. Orbital cannons powered up, their barrels tracking the human warship. Fighter swarms launched, buzzing like hornets from the surface. A massive shield dome flickered to life over the capital, a golden web of energy protecting millions below. The aliens thought they'd turn the tide, that their world could hold. They didn't know the merciless didn't stop for walls, or pleas. A transmission cut through the static, shrill and desperate. A Coalition officer, voice trembling, begged over open channels. Cease your attack. Civilians live here, children, families. Show mercy. The bridge crew heard it, their consoles crackling with the sound. The weapons officer snorted, hands steady on her controls. They didn't care when they shelled our colonies. The engineer, still buried in the ship's guts, muttered, "Mercy's for winners." They ain't it. The captain said nothing, eyes fixed on the planet. War wasn't a debate. It was a job. The merciless struck first. Railguns roared, slugs slamming into the orbital platforms. Metal twisted and burst, cannons tumbling into the atmosphere as fireballs. The fighter swarms charged, lasers spitting. Point defense turrets answered, a storm of bullets shredding them into confetti. The weapons officer grinned, tracking each kill, like swatting flies. The ship's hull glowed from friction, scars widening under enemy fire, but held. The engineer patched leaks with a welder's hiss, keeping the beast alive. "She's tough as us," he said, pride in his growl. The shield dome pulsed, deflecting debris. The Coalition ships rallied behind it, their weapons joining the planetary barrage. Energy beams raked the merciless, scorching its flank. The bridge rocked, a console exploding in sparks. The weapons officer cursed, shaking off burns, and recalibrated. "They're getting cocky." The captain's voice cut through the chaos. "Graviton lance. Punch a hole." The hum rose again, space-time bending. The beam hit the shield, warping it inward. A section buckled, then shattered, exposing the capital's spires to the sky. Panic flooded the enemy comms. They've breached the dome. Evacuate. Too late. Plasma torpedoes rained through the gap, detonating in white-hot blooms. Towers melted. Streets vaporized. The city's heart erased in seconds. The Merciless advanced, relentless, its shadow swallowing the horizon. The remaining ships fired wildly, but their shots were frantic, aimless. Railguns silenced them one by one, hulls splitting into glowing wrecks. The planet's cannons faltered, overwhelmed. The humans didn't pause. They didn't know how. The crew pushed harder. The engineer rerouted every spare what to weapons, sweat dripping as he worked. Reactors are screaming, but they'll hold. The weapons officer spotted the planet's core on scans, a geothermal nexus, ripe for ruin. Hit that and it's over. The captain nodded. Do it. She prepped a fusion warhead, tweaking its yield with a mad grin. This'll wake the galaxy up. The Merciless trembled as the launcher primed, its frame battered but unbowed. They'd come in to fight, not prolong it. The warhead dropped, a silver streak plunging through the atmosphere. It struck the core and Clithera convulsed. The ground split, magma surging through cracks. Oceans boiled, steam choking the air. The capital vanished in a fireball, the shield dome collapsing into ash. The planet's crust fractured, continents sliding into chaos. The atmosphere ignited, a red veil spreading across the globe. The Merciless hung above it all, engines thrumming, watching the world die. Silence fell, heavy and absolute, broken only by the ship's steady pulse. The Coalition's last ships fled, engines flaring as they jumped to hyperspace. Their broadcast screamed across the void, warnings, pleas, terror. The humans, they've turned Clithera to dust. It's a death machine. The crew listened, grim satisfaction settling in. The weapons officer leaned back, wiping soot from her face. Let him talk. Keeps him honest. The engineer climbed up from the lower decks, tools clanging, ship's a mess, but she's still kicking. The captain stared at the wasteland below, a smoking ruin where a jewel once stood. Message sent, he said, voice low. The Merciless turned from the wreckage, its hull a tapestry of burns and dents. Clithera was gone, its seas, its cities, its people. The galaxy would see the footage soon, a single human ship against the world, and the world lost. The crew didn't cheer. They didn't need to. Victory wasn't celebration. It was a fact. They'd done what they came for, what humans always did. Fought, broke, won. The Merciless drifted into the black, ready for the next call, its shadow a promise etched in fire. The Merciless drifted through the void, Clithera's corpse fading behind it. The planet was a cracked husk now, its surface glowing red through rents in the crust. Debris floated in orbit, shattered ships, twisted cannons, the last gas of a world that dared defy humanity. The ship's hull smoked, pocked with fresh wounds, but its engines growled steady. Inside, the bridge was a mess of flickering screens and scorched steel. The crew stood firm, bloodied and weary, but alive. They'd turn a jewel into ash, and the galaxy would never forget it. The weapons officer slumped in her chair, flexing burned fingers. Nice fireworks. Think they'll write songs about us. Her laugh was rough, edged with exhaustion. The engineer hauled himself up from the lower decks, tools slung over his shoulder. They'll write something. Curses, probably. Ship's limping, but she'll fight another day. He kicked the dented panel, testing its give. The captain stayed silent, hands clasped, staring into the black. The tactical display was dark, no blips, no threats. Just victory, hard-won and heavy. Word spread fast. Coalition channels lit up with chatter, voices shrill with disbelief. Clithera is gone. One ship did it, one human ship. Their leaders scrambled, some calling for surrender, others for war. Worlds that once mocked humanity as primitives now poured over sensor logs, tracing the merciless path of ruin. Its weapons, its stubborn hull, its crew, they defied logic. Aliens saw art in their fleets. Humans saw tools, and they wielded them like gods of wrath. The galaxy shifted, fear and awe coiling together in its core. A new signal pierced the quiet, faint but sharp. The weapons officer frowned, patching it through. Static cleared into a human voice, clipped and cold. "Merciless, this is the Iron Dawn. You've made a mess. Command's not pleased. Says you're off the leash. Stand down or we'll drag you back." The crew froze, eyes flicking to Captain. Another human ship, another faction. The engineer growled. "Our own kind, huh? Figures they'd pick a fight now." The weapons officer cracked her knuckles. "Let him try. I've got rounds left." The captain turned, breaking his silence. "Command's late to the party. We did the job. They can choke on it." His words carried weight, steel in every syllable. The Merciless wasn't just a ship. It was their will, their answer to anyone, alien or human, who thought they could be caged. The signal looped, a challenge hanging in the air. The crew traded looks, some grinning, some grim. They crushed a fleet, razed a planet. A rival ship? Just another day. The engineer knelt by a sparking conduit, already working. "Reactors need a breather, but I'll patch her up. Next fight's on your lot." The weapons officer ran diagnostics, tallying ammo, enough to make him regret it, alien or not. The Merciless groaned as power rerouted, its frame protesting but obeying. Humans didn't rest, they rebuilt, reloaded, kept going. The captain punched coordinates into the console, a neutral system to regroup. We fix up, resupply. Then we see who's stupid enough to come knocking. The ship turned, engines flaring, leaving Clithera's gray behind. Its silhouette cut to the starfield, a battered titan unbowed by its scars. The galaxy watched, holding its breath. Coalition worlds fortified their borders, praying the Merciless wouldn't turn their way. Alien scholars scribbled theories. How did a species so young wield such terror? They missed the truth. Humans didn't win because they were stronger or smarter. They won because they refused to lose. Because every hit, they took fuel the next swing. The Iron Dawn threat lingered, a spark in the dark. Humanity's strength was its curse. Fractured, fierce, always ready to clash. The crew didn't dwell on it. They'd face their own if it came to that. Same as they faced the Coalition. The Merciless was their home, their fist, their proof. It carried no flag, no grand ideals, just a raw, ugly pulse of survival. The captain's voice broke the hum of the bridge. "Get some rest. We're not done." No one argued. Rest was a means to fight again. The ship slipped into the void, a shadow among stars. Clithera's fall echoed outward, a warning carved in fire and dust. The galaxy trembled, not because humans were invincible, but because they didn't care if they weren't. They'd claw through hell, break anything in their path, and come out grinning. The Merciless was that what made real, a machine of war, a promise that no world, no foe, could stand against them forever. Its engines roared, a low hymn of defiance, carrying it toward whatever waited next.